Hey, what's up, guys? 01 here, and I'm here with my friend JB, and we're gonna be reviewing Napoleon Dynamite. This film has actually its pros and cons. It's well, you could say each and every character is very cartoonish in a sense. They're odd, they're strange, and they're people that you probably wouldn't want to hang out with. But in that sense, it makes for a good and awesome, interesting film. What I believe. What do you think about JB? Do you disagree or agree with I'm saying, or are you just like, no, I'm totally the opposite?
Well, this is the year 2015, and this is the first time I got to watch the movie. I've heard about it when it first came out, but I never got around to watching it. I've heard people quote it, and people kind of explain the jokes, but now I finally got to see them for myself. I would have to say that I was kind of wondering a couple scenes, like, why did they put that in there? Like, for example, when Napoleon is with a group of girls and they're doing sign language with the song, and that's all you see, and then the movie just goes on to the next part. I'm like, what was the point of that? And now towards the end of the movie, when Summer and her friends are doing the thing, I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. Kind of like I see that connection there. So I apologize that I can't think of another scene that comes to mind right at the moment, but I was kind of wondering, like, why did they put that in there? Definitely they all were kind of goofy, but it worked out pretty well. I liked it. It was funny.
That's interesting because one of the things that when this film came out, it was kind of like you could say a polarize the audience, because you either love it or you hate it. There was no in between. There were a lot of people that were saying, man, that was a boring movie, that was a horrible movie. And other people were saying that was an awesome movie, that was a film for geeks and dweebs that most of the time they don't get that chance, that opportunity to shine in the film. They're always the ones that are getting picked and beaten up and made fun of. But yeah, so it was way different. And one of the things that I noticed also was that it was very stereotypical. and surprisingly, not a lot of people actually complained about that. They complained more about the story, that there was no story. It was just random things happen, or not random, but just odd things happen to each and every character.
Yeah, because I actually said at the end of the movie there was really no point to it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what the main complaint when I remember when the film came out. And but nobody actually ever said, hey man, those characters are real stereotypical. Like, for example, Pedro,
the most obvious one.
Yes, he was the most obvious one. He was running for president, and he wanted to bring saint days or days of saints to the
guard the hallway.
Yeah, guard the hallway, like Santo Joditas and Santo, like Saint Bernard or Saint something, and it was kind of like okay. Oh, all right, and then next thing you know, he's also.
But the thing is, I think if you don't belong to the Hispanic community, or if you're not familiar with Hispanic culture, then you might have missed the joke. I'm not sure.
Well, it could be, but I know nowadays, since we live in a very PC world, in other words, political correctness. If you would actually show something like this in the universities, professors and students will just go bananas. They're like, hey, that's stereotypical, or hey, that's just, not right. Especially Napoleon's brother, who finally finds somebody to spend the rest of his life with.
So he actually ends up going with the girl?
Well,
I mean,
we don't want to spoil the film, but let's just say
it gives that impression.
It gives that impression, and also it gives impression of promoting thug life or hip hop life. That's the definition of what a black women would like in a man. So it was kind of like, okay, it was funny, but at the same time, it was just like, okay, I wonder how many people are going to get offended by this, or I wonder how many people are actually going to get this. Like, we're just we're just making things up as we go, or we're just randomly doing things. And but yeah, I mean that's one of the things that you can expect from Napoleon Dynamite. One thing I appreciated from the director, and I think you also loved it, was clean. There was no cussing, there was no nudity, there was nothing that deals with anything R, and yet, I mean, the film was a profit. So it shows that you don't really need all that, content in your production. Because, I mean, this film surprisingly did a real good job in the theaters. I mean, it surpassed expectations, believe it or not. And now you look at it, you're like, what the heck is this? But one of the things I would definitely also want to speak to you about was the character Rico. I really liked the character Rico, Uncle Rico, because he was just he was so stuck in the past. He never matured out of that phase of his life. He just stayed there, and it kind of really represents a lot of men in our society that they wish they would want to go back in time to that certain time where if they only had a chance or an opportunity, or if they want to make a choice that it would just alter completely their lives. And that's one of the things that I noticed about Uncle Rico, that Uncle Rico never actually never let go. He never decided to let go of that time period or that phase.
There's actually something that he says in the movie that's actually a really good life lesson for teenagers and kids, and even young adults. Is he says, what would you do, or I forgot what his exact lines were, but he says, if I could go back in the past with the knowledge I have now, and that is a really if you really think about it, that's a really good point, and that's something that younger audiences should kind of focus on, in the sense, because your parents and other adults, they've already gone through stuff, and I know that might sound kind of obvious, but how many younger people are actually listening when their parents or their family members or an older adult says, don't do that. It's actually for a good reason. And that was, I mean, I heard that and really stuck in my mind. I just thought I'd share that with you. If you're listening, maybe somebody gave you some good advice, but maybe you're upset with them just because for whatever reason. That's something to think about. So not only is it clean, but one good message came out of that.
Do we recommend the film? Yeah, we definitely recommend the film. If you ever have a chance to sit down with your family, your mom, your dad, your sister, or just, it's a Thanksgiving day and people are saying, hey, what should we watch? Napoleon Dynamite. But thank you so much for, for this time of just actually listening to us just to talk about Napoleon Dynamite. Yes. Don't worry, we know you can't get your time back, but if you want more of this, just hit the subscribe button, because we're coming, and we're going to be touching the sky pretty soon.
And he'll make your wildest dreams come true.
Yeah. Well, yes.